Well, what's going on? How we doing, fellas? Bryce,
what's up, everybody.
Welcome to the show. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great. Just had to watch the Dragons poop down their leg, but it's all right.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that right when we go live. We'll talk about the two minor league playoff games. We'll talk a little bit about the Reds maybe tonight. Pretty good ball game here so far. Emilio Pagan trying to nail down a 3-0 win. Craig.
Yeah, trying to. That little Olay out of Santiago Espinal is not going to help anything, but that's all right. Let's see if he can nail it down. A little surprised to see Pagan here in the ninth. I thought Suter might be in there for the long haul, but nonetheless, here we go. I just for the record, I did not watch anybody poop down anybody's leg today, so I just want to put that out there.
Lucky
no
for you.
In the same line. Bryce had to watch the Dragons. Plus, he's got 3 little ones running around. He probably saw a lot of poop today.
There was. Oh, gosh.
Judging by social media, there might be another event on television where people are pooping down their legs as well. So, oh no, get Diaz hot. Get him hot.
Oh no, you're going to be ahead of me again, aren't you? Of course you are. You're always hot. Here we go. I'll just have to go game day.
Yeah, it's 3 people here, Craig. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good.
We got to
Your
get.
names are Kid Lars.
He's got a brother that played minor league baseball with the Orioles. Named, where's it at here?
Mars?
Nigel Newtbar.
Nigel.
Nigel Newtbar.
He played for Japan in the WBC. That was kind of wild.
Yeah, he had some tie with his mother.
Mm.
Newtbar served as a bat boy in 2006 with Japan when they did a youth baseball tour.
He's hooked ever since.
Yeah.
Come up again.
Freddie.
Yikes.
Better be ready, Freddie.
Bryce, does this not feel like you bring in Pagan with a 3-run lead because he's like a back-end guy to kind of get a save in his column?
Yeah, for sure. It's like, hey, we paid you $8 million. Here's a save to throw your way, buddy.
Yeah.
St. Louis can't hit the broadside of the barn tonight.
Well, don't say that.
Every time I come on in the 9th inning, it's just chaos. The Diamondbacks game last year, it was like 12 innings. We just sat through it.
We were there for like 4 hours.
That a boy.
Is Diaz coming in?
I don't know, but he better be.
That was a strike, Larry.
How is that not a strike? And the calls that Elly had go against him tonight.
Larry's having a great game. Great game.
Larry sucks. This guy sucks.
This guy sucks.
Could you imagine if this game meant anything? I'd be going through my TV screen right now at Larry.
87-year-old Larry Vanover calling balls and strikes.
Oh boy.
Hang him up, Larry.
Hey, I don't old shame anybody. I hope I'm still kicking that good at 87, but Jesus.
I feel like Major League umpires is a fair profession to old shame people on. I'm not gonna hate on the guy, working at the grocery store. This guy's calling Major League balls and strikes.
Yeah, 0.2 seconds to react to a ball coming in 98 miles an hour.
So Jordan Walker doesn't get his first hit of the year.
2 for 14 in his career with the bases loaded. Surely he's going to get a hit here.
Yeah. Oh man.
With Buck Farmer warming up.
High leverage buck.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Well,
You guys
Alexis,
first
I mean,
pitch.
Diaz isn't available. No, I saw it. I see it on game day.
Oh my. Mound visit. Throw right at this guy's legs.
He's just brushing him off the plate, Nick. Just brushing him off the plate. Can't let
That
Jordan Walker get comfortable in
Yeah.
there.
This is the first pitch right at his legs. That'll set him up. Oh.
Hey. Pounding him in.
Yeah.
Pound him in. Look at that. Inside, 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 baby.
Come on. That boy, Larry.
This guy strikes so man. What on earth?
That boy.
I want to see both umpires get thrown out in the same game for arguing balls and strikes. Come on, Ollie. Get out there.
Mama was giving him hell earlier. I don't remember who was up.
That was a great pitch, though. I mean, that last pitch was a phenomenal pitch from God.
Good old Daniel Descalso from the right side right here with Seguis.
Daniel Descalso from the right side. I'm never going to unsee that now, Bryce.
Oh, it's dead on.
Yeah, it is. This is like MLB The Show Cardinals player 3.
Generic stance 7.
Yeah. Oh, big cut. This guy was just called up, wasn't he?
Yeah, today. Give JC some credit, man.
Oh, he can hit.
He's the number 5 prospect.
Oh, see ya, buddy. Good morning, good afternoon, good night.
Someone's ahead of me here. What is this? See ya, buddy. Good morning, good afternoon, good night.
I mean, he didn't even think about hitting either of those fastballs. Not even a shot.
You don't see Pagan down in triple.
I just saw strike 2, so we're really doing well.
Oh, gosh. Matt Carpenter's 100% walking this off. You realize that, right? His old ass coming to the plate, gray beard. He's going deep. I've seen.
See ya, buddy. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I just had to join in. I finally saw it. So,
good.
Yeah. He was acquired in the Jordan Montgomery trade, Nick. So JC was so.
Oh,
that was kind of a fleece by them.
Yep.
Well, I mean, Jordan Montgomery did help them win the World Series.
Series, yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot he got traded to the Rangers.
Yeah, Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton for John King, Takoa Roby, and Thomas JC.
Now they would have been fleeced if they would have lost in the wild card, or they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, for some reason I thought he would get traded to the Diamondbacks. He signed with the D-backs, and he was awful.
Gotta throw a strike, Emilio. Nowhere to put him.
He always looks so mad when he's pitching. These are the thoughts I have in my head that I don't tweet. I just say them to myself or to my wife.
I have a lot of thoughts that I just don't tweet anymore.
Oh, Larry, that's so bad. That's awful. Wait till you see this one.
I think it's
a 4-seam fastball.
Ollie's face.
Great call.
Ollie's face, man. Oh, man. Sadak's really selling this, too.
Oh.
To anyone that is against robot umps, they need to have to watch this game.
Did you see Ollie just what he mouthed? Effing guy. This effing guy.
See you, buddy.
Let's go.
Put it on the board.
I think in my box score recap, I'm gonna have to in my box score recap, I'm gonna have to say that he loaded the bases with nobody out. Then Craig put on the Alexis Diaz glasses and then struck out the next 3 batters. Run the long intro, Nick.
Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant.
Perkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Hatterberg's a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my. That is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the line. Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Line to right field. Genius, the first Red ever. With 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first and Homer Bailey for the second time in his major league career has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right. Hey, what's going on? Welcome into Chatterbox Reds post-game show. Nick Kirby joined by Craig Sandlin and Bryce Spalding. Special guest tonight as we're going to do a little minor league talk with some playoff baseball tonight. But the Reds get it done, win 3-0 over the Cardinals, a game that was, never in doubt. And the Cardinals, fellas, the Cardinals fall back to 500. Get this. The Cardinals have not had back-to-back losing seasons since the 50s. Could the Reds put a little hurting on the Cardinals the next couple days? Send them towards that. You would hate to see that. But Craig, we'll start with you. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. It's been a busy day, Nick. Busy day. Had to work all day. Then we had Chatterbox Bengals at 6:00. Then I took my daughter to soccer practice, rushed home to get this done. Let me tell you, never enough sports in my life.
The grind never stops, Craig, especially when you're in the Chatterbox family. Great job as always on Chatterbox Bengals earlier today. Bryce, my friend, how we doing?
Doing great. Baby number 3 is here and healthy. Me and my wife's 2-year anniversary today. We went out and had a nice dinner. So doing good.
Bryce joining us on his anniversary. What a guy.
We spend every day together. It's all good.
Oh boy. Let's not get in trouble here. All right. Well, Bryce, you're welcome to stay as long as you want. We're going to start off with a little minor league talk. We'll finish up with more minor league talk later in the show. We did have 2 postseason games, so I want to bring Bryce on to talk a little bit about that. We'll start off with the Dayton Dragons. Man, they lost a heartbreaker 4-3 to Lake County. Game started out, they gave up a home run to the second batter of the game, but then Ryan Cardona was just outstanding after that. 7 innings, just allowed that 1 run. Only allowed 2 hits in the game. Really gave Dayton a chance. Dayton tied it up in the 5th. Jay Allen had a nice day. Actually had 2 hits in this game. He had a tying single. Then the Dragons put 2 more on in the 6th, and they took a lead, Bryce, going into the top of the 9th with their closer, who's been absolutely lights out in Miller, but he blows the save. But they're down 4-2 going to the bottom of the 9th. They get it within a run. They have runners on first and third, no one out, top of the order. And the game ends 4-3. This was a tough one, Bryce.
It was brutal, especially like you said, with Hector coming up, guy that makes a ton of contact. He's striking out like 13% of the time this year. And of course he strikes out and you're like, oh, well, that's all right. Jay's been on fire and he bunts, which was an odd decision in my opinion. He's been swinging it so well that I don't really want to take the bat out of his hands there, but he puts down a decent bunt. It's not really where you want it. I think we were talking a little bit before, but maybe bunt it towards the third baseman. You probably have a better shot at a tougher play there, but just an all around, it's a tough one because Simon Miller giving up like 2 earned runs in his last 38 innings, and he gives up 3 tonight in his 1 inning of work. So just one of those nights. Baseball's a weird game. It sometimes catches you at the times that you least want it to, or you least expect it to, but I expect they'll bounce back well on Thursday going to Lake County and hopefully win 2 more there.
Yeah, this was a really fun game, Bryce. Great atmosphere in Dayton. Dayton always has a great atmosphere, but it was on another level tonight. Both teams got a little chippy at the end of the game. I think someone from Lake County maybe said something to Jay Allen. The benches sort of cleared. There was nothing too intense, but this was just a fun playoff baseball game. I know Trace, our fearless leader, was at the game. He was texting me, telling me how much fun it was. Cool to see these guys get this kind of experience. I think it's really good for these guys. Collier did have a double. It was kind of off the end of the bat. Jay Allen had a really nice day until that bunt. I just would have probably liked to see Jay Allen try to swing the bat. If he puts the ball in play, he's fast enough to beat out most double plays. I don't really know what they were doing there. But I do want to talk briefly about Ryan Cardona. He's a guy that we haven't mentioned a whole lot. He's not not ranked on a prospect list, but he's been really, really good for Dayton in the second half. And then, to throw 7 innings of 1-run ball, especially when that 1 run was the second batter of the game in a playoff game, it kind of really shows a lot about him. And it gets a really good Lake County team.
Yeah, really good lineup. They're some of the Guardians' best prospects there. So, yeah, no, that's huge for him. I've been really high on him. He's a little bit older. I think he's 23 or 24 in that range. So he's going to have to be pushed in this next year. So he was drafted in 21. So he's Rule 5 eligible this offseason. I don't think anybody will pick him up. So I think he's a guy you may see in double or triple A next year. So yeah, he mixes everything well. I've put out a little bit longer thought tweets on him. So you can search his name on my Twitter and get those, get kind of a little bit more detailed video. I put a couple out tonight as well. So yeah, it just doesn't walk a lot of people, strikes out a lot of people, and just really attacks. He's been really good these last couple of years, though. He was really good in Daytona as well, in 22 and 23. And then obviously he's been great in Dayton this year. So yeah, it's really good to see for him. I think that he's somebody that almost feels like a Julian Aguiar in a type of way. Has kind of worked his way up, just continues to produce results, and potentially a guy we see in the big leagues here sooner than later.
Any other thoughts on this game one here on Tuesday night, Bryce?
Yeah, no, like you said, it was an awesome atmosphere, really fun baseball game to watch. So hopefully they can bounce back well. They didn't, besides obviously Cardona, their bullpen is fairly rested. You would imagine Miller would probably be able to go back on Thursday as well. So hopefully they're able to bounce back well. I'm not sure who they'll be throwing, but yeah, hopefully they can get a win and carry that into the game 3, and be fun to watch if they're able to pull out 2 there.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if Nestor Laurent gets into the mix. Maybe a guy that might be the Reds minor league pitcher of the year. Hasn't been with Dayton all that long, but has just dominated all year. Yeah, I don't, or if they'll go with one of the guys that have kind of been there all year. That'll be fun to watch. I'll be there, so I'm looking forward to that on Thursday. Should be a fun atmosphere. Looking forward to that. The other game really didn't go well. Now this was the Dayton Lake County felt like 2 teams that were pretty evenly matched or close to it. Daytona is coming in this year. I think Daytona has about 20 less wins than Palm Beach this year. Daytona ends up exactly at 500. Palm Beach was like 30 games over 500 or something. This one really got off to just a rough start right away. JJ Weatherholt, guy that we thought might be the number 1 pick this last draft, ended up falling to the Cardinals. Hit a 2-run home run in the first inning, and then Palm Beach just never looked back. Daytona falls 8-3. Good crowd in Daytona, though. They had 1,100 fans. And why? For some comparison, the other game, they mentioned it on the Daytona broadcast, there's only 300 fans at the other game. So that was cool to see. Cool to see them, come out and get supported. This is a very, very young team in Daytona. Sammy Stafora goes 0-for-4, but Yerlin Confidon had a great day. A guy that just hits the ball really hard, double and a homer in this one. And then David Lowerty, another guy that's really kind of come on the scene, started the year in the ACL. He threw the middle of this game and threw 3 no-hit innings with 4 strikeouts, only 1 walk. Any thoughts, on this one, Bryce? I mean, it'd be great to see. Daytona's really up against it. They have to go to Palm Beach. They'd have to win both games to stay alive. You'd love to see them just find a way to scratch across a game 2 win and, force it into a game 3, but they're not going to hold my breath either.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Thankfully, they'll probably have Saranowski going. So him going 5, they'll have a shot early on if they can maybe, if Confidon or Stafura can hit a home run. But Cabrera being hurt, it definitely doesn't help anything. He's been probably their most consistent hitter throughout the year outside of Confidon. So, but yeah, no, it's obviously it's awesome that they've made it and got to this point. Like you mentioned, it's a super young team. They even lost. Cabrera's been up and down. Duno's been hurt, obviously, and they've Kyle Henley, who just recently got there. Bernard Moon, who recently got there. So they have a lot of moving parts there. You're going to see that in low A a lot. But like you mentioned, that Cardinals team, they pretty much they're the same team all year. Like Chase Davis has been there pretty much all year, who was their number 1 pick last year, and then they added Weatherholt to this team. So I think they kind of just want to get them a taste of winning a little bit, kind of in the lower levels, and maybe rise together. But it's whatever. I'm glad they're there, and be fun to watch Saranowski pitch against them on Thursday, and hopefully he can hold his own and pitch well. But Confidon is just a freak. I'm so excited for him, and hopefully we can keep him moving through the system. He's made some really big adjustments this year, not swinging and miss as much, and really kind of taking on a little bit more at the plate. So that's been awesome to see.
Maybe we'll get to see Serwanowski in game 2. That would be, that would give him a chance. I mean, when he's on, I mean, he could throw 4 or 5 shutout innings, and it doesn't really matter. Maybe it'd be a little slimy of Palm Beach to to put their top draft pick. I mean, you see Travis Bazzana is at the next level up. Fortunately for the Reds, I mean, 2 of the top draft picks, you get one in high A and one in low A, both to get you in the playoffs. It's kind of both guys out of college too, so it's not like one guy's out of high school or anything. So unfortunately, you get them both. But yeah, unfortunately though, price for this series, this is the last game I believe that we're going to see on TV because Palm Beach does not have home television. So we'll have to follow along. So the Tortugas would have to pull out 2 pretty miraculous wins to keep their season alive. Any other final thoughts on either of these games? We'll talk about the other 2 other affiliates at the end of the show. But any other thoughts, Bryce?
No. Just one thing. I think it's cool that we're seeing some teams make the playoffs now. I think it's been since 2017 that Dayton had made the playoffs, and then Daytona as well. They've struggled here recently. So I think winning matters. I think we can kind of gloss over it a little bit, especially early. I think people were kind of upset that Sal Stewart and Cam Collier weren't getting promoted, but I think there was reasoning behind that. They wanted them to have these atmospheres that this game means something. This game matters. And you're facing these arms that maybe have spent all year in high A that have really kind of taken on and grown, and maybe they're a little bit more advanced than they are. So what they're playing right now is practically AA baseball. So we're splitting hairs on kind of what that looks like, especially the level that Chattanooga's at, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I'm excited for them. I think it's really good for them and their development as they're growing here.
All right. Well, our deep drive of the day is Yerlin Confidant's home run. He had a home run in the bottom of the first. So shout out to Yerlin Confidant. He's had a really nice season for the Daytona Tortugas. And as always, our deep drive of the day sponsored by Deep South Commodities. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production. They specialize in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks, as always, to our friends at DSC. All right, we did get a couple of super chats, and then we'll get into the Reds game. I think the Reds played a baseball game today. Hopefully, Craig watched a lot more than I did. But let's get to our supers. Ned Flanders. If only the Reds had lost their entire starting rotation sooner, what could have been? Oh, Ned, always keeping us on our toes. We'll talk a lot about Rhett. I mean, Rhett's been incredible. Pitched much better than I expected, so far. And then Michael Rolfe, 50 bomb. How about that? Michael Rolfe. Nick, I am hot that the future Reds Hall of Famer Sheng-In Lin wasn't batting third for Dayton. Serious smack in the face to the CBox chat. The guy is a natural. 19 years old. Who cares? Put him in the big leagues. You know what? When you have a player like Sheng-In Lin, you got to protect him at all costs, man. And he probably would have had to go to Daytona first. It's typically the trajectory, unless you're Dominic Patelli. But yeah, I please let Sheng-In Lin open in Daytona next year, and please upgrade those cameras in Daytona, because I'm dying to watch Sheng-In Lin on a nightly basis. I got to be honest, I might just quit watching the Reds and only just follow Sheng-In Lin in his career. So appreciate you, Michael.
I texted Nick earlier. 2024 Bowman Chrome baseball cards released tomorrow, and Sheng-In Lin is on the Cincinnati Reds autograph checklist. So I am going to have to, I guess, buy the Reds in some team breaks over the next couple of days and see if I can't get myself a Sheng-In Lin autograph card of the next Reds Hall of Famer after Joey Votto, I guess.
I love it. All right. Craig, tell us what happened in this Reds game.
Well, the box score recap, as always, presented by Nicholas Kirby. The Reds head to St. Louis for the first of a 3-game series with the Cardinals. Andre Pallante took the mound for the Cardinals, while Rhett Lowder was on the mound for the Reds, looking to continue the strong start to his career in his third start for the major league club. After both teams scattered a few hits through the first few innings, the Reds finally break through in the top of the fifth as TJ Friedl scores Jonathan India and Elly De La Cruz on a base hit through the left side. Friedl would advance to second on a disengagement violation and then steal third as Pallante failed to hold him on. Ty France hit a high bouncer back to the pitcher, allowing Friedl to score, giving the Reds a 3-0 lead after 5. Lowder would work a scoreless fifth to close out yet another stellar outing for the young arm. Lowder would sprinkle 5 hits over 5 innings pitched. He struck out 3 while not walking a batter. The scoreless outing would drop his ERA over his first 3 starts to a paltry 0.59. Justin Wilson allowed 2 base runners in the 6th, but escaped with no damage. Tony Santillan worked a perfect 8-pitch 7th, and then Brent Suter worked a perfect 7-pitch 8th. Emilio Pagan then came in for the 9th. He loaded the bases with nobody out, but then Pagan would strike out Jordan Walker, strike out Thomas Sajaci, and strike out Matt Carpenter to secure the 3-0 victory for the Reds. Jonathan India on base twice despite 0 hits. He's 0 for his last 17. Elly De La Cruz was 1 for 3 with 2 walks. TJ Friedl 1 for 4 with the 2 RBIs and a run scored. Jake Fraley reached twice, and Santiago Espinal 2 for 4 in the game. The Cardinals dropped to 500 at 72-72. While the Reds improved to 71-75 on the season, the Reds secure the season series against the Cardinals, only the second such time they have taken the season series from the Cardinals since 2011, twice out of their last 13 seasons.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, that is pretty cool. As Reds fans, we've watched the Cardinals beat us around far too much, and it's not been a whole lot of fun. So nice to see the Reds, win a series against the Cardinals, a season series. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning, it'd be nice to see the Cardinals finish below 500. I'm fascinated to see kind of what the Cardinals do this offseason. I mean, they're in a weird spot as a franchise. They do have some really good young talent, but they have a lot of old talent, and Mozeliak sounds like he's on the way out, but that's a whole other side thing. But let's talk about Rhett Lowder. I mean, I had all the expectations in the world for Rhett Lowder, but not in 2024. Like when he got called up by that, whatever he gives the Reds, he gives the Reds. It's 3 starts. We shouldn't overreact to that by any means, but man, he's looked really good. I expected Rhett Lowder to look more like what Julian Aguilar has looked like. And Julian Aguilar's looked good. I expected Julian Aguilar to look more like a Brett Kennedy type in his first season. Like it's kind of wild how well both of those guys have pitched and exceeded expectations. But Bryce, I'll start with you. I mean, Rhett Lowder. I mean, I just don't know what to say. I mean, I did not see this coming this year.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody did, especially when he kind of hit that rough patch in Chattanooga. I think it just shows that so much of how we evaluate pitchers is beyond a box score, because you would look at his nights and he would give up 6 hits on 4 earned runs, and he would have 6 or 7 strikeouts and walk 2, and then you would go back and watch it and you're like, wow, that didn't look that bad. Like he had a 4.5 ERA or 5 ERA that day, but it didn't look that bad. So there was always glimpses of it. I think his stuff has played up a little bit. I think that his fastball looks a little bit sharper than it did in the minor leagues, which I think is those things happen. Like guys get more comfortable, big league ball, big league mound, whatever that may be. So, but yeah, I think his changeup is as advertised. His breaking ball is better than I think people have given it credit for since college. I thought that's been a plus pitch of his, and he gets swing and misses on it. I think that's a huge thing that he really kind of goes undervalued with. He does get swing and miss, unlike some other contact guys, and then he gets a ton of weak contact. So many times tonight, he would just flip a changeup in there and somebody bang it into the ground for a put out, and we'd move on. So I think that's huge for him, and that's how he's going to have success moving forward. So that's good to see him having success early like that.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, he's pitched well enough to win in all 3 of his games now, despite the fact that tonight is his first career victory in the major leagues. I mean, I realize that his debut, he only went 4 innings, only gave up 1 earned run. Since then, he went 6 1/3 scoreless against Houston on September 5th in a no decision. It's just he's pitched well enough in every single outing to be 3-0 at this point, despite the fact that his record stands at 1-1. Look, I mean, we came into the season, we knew that Rhett Lowder was going to be the future of this Reds ball club. I don't think we necessarily expected or really hoped that it would be as soon as it has been. But the MO on Rhett Lowder since we drafted him has been that he knows how to pitch. And that's really what's been apparent to me, is that he's used his 4 pitches. He's mixed them up well. He's kept batters off balance. Tonight, the box score will say that the Cardinals had, I think, like 8 hard hit balls off of him. But watching the game, none of them really felt hard at all watching it. I mean, none of them really stood out as a ball that, oh, wow, they really got a hold of that one, outside of maybe the one that ended up on the warning track. I don't remember whose bat it was off of there in like the 4th or 5th inning. The Cardinals got one to the warning track, but it just feels like that's kind of his game right now. It's not necessarily going to strike out a ton of guys, but he's also not going to give up a ton of hard hit contact, and he's going to use his pitches well enough to keep the batters off balance so that they are just rolling over pitches and keeping it simple for the defense. So I've been really impressed with what I've seen. Obviously a little disappointed we've had to see him at all this year, but coming into tonight with a 0.87 ERA and somehow leaving tonight with a lower ERA is phenomenal. So, shout out to him. And certainly Nick and I had conversations before they called him up about what it would mean for him moving forward. And I think one thing's for sure that we can have a conversation about is Rhett Lowder certainly seems as if he's pitched his way into the rotation in 2025. I don't know that was necessarily the plan when they promoted him this year for him to be a tryout per se, but it seems more difficult than not to imagine a Reds starting rotation at the start of 2025 without Rhett Lowder.
Yeah. And adding to that a little bit, I like you were talking about with the hard hit balls. I think a guy who he's very similar to is Logan Webb. You look at Logan Webb's baseball savant, and gives up a lot of hard hit contact. And our hitting coach in college used to always say, nobody cares how hard you hit it into the ground. You can hit a ball 102 miles an hour right into the ground, but nobody cares. Like that's not going anywhere. If anything, it's a single. So both those guys do a really good job of that sinker, changeup, slider combo that it's just going to keep hitters off the barrel. And it's going to go a long way to having long-term success. So yeah, you hit it right on the head there.
All right. On the bullpen, how about the job overall for the bullpen? I know Pagan made it a little sketchy there in the 9th inning, but another 4 shutout innings from the bullpen. The bullpen went through kind of a rough patch, kind of when there was a few injuries. But the bullpen really, I mean, the reason the Reds have played so well in September, one of the biggest reasons I think is the bullpen. And these guys have been asked to do so many things outside of traditional bullpen roles. Every one of these, I mean, Pagan, the guy who closed the game, has opened for this team at times this year. Tony Santillan, man, it's just really, really impressive. I'm blown away kind of by his season. But Bryce, what's your overall takeaways on the bullpen? Who's some guys that really stand out for you right now?
Yeah, it's honestly insane to look at what they've done. Like a guy like Jacob Junis, who was required when he was pitching out of the bullpen, has stretched himself out to the point where he's going 4 or 5 innings every time out. Fernando Cruz is going 2 or 3 innings every time out. Like Alexis Diaz is taking the ball what feels like every day and getting it done. So like these guys are really stretching their means, and I think it's going to be a good thing moving forward as we are getting into the dog days, hopefully contending next year in August, September, October, and they're going to have this experience of stretching themselves a little bit more when they're tired, when they've pitched throughout a full season. And I think they've got a lot of versatile arms down there. Obviously, Nick Martinez has been huge. I think he's up to like 125 innings on the season, which is just absurd given kind of his career limit and what he's been at. So you can't say enough about all of them. I think Tony Santillan's a guy that stood out to me as well. He's probably the guy that if we're in a playoff game tomorrow or a must-win game and it's the 9th inning of a 1-run game, I don't know if I would want anybody but Santillan. I think he's been that good. Obviously, you want to trust your closer in Diaz, but I think Santillan has earned that level of trust from the team. And he's proven it to himself time in and time out, a guy that was non-tendered this offseason and has kind of worked his way back. So really, really cool for him. Obviously, somebody that we had high hopes for when he was first recalled, and has kind of worked his way back into a high leverage reliever now. So that's really cool to see for him. And hopefully he carries that into next year.
Yeah. I mean, look, tonight was Brent Suter working 1 inning, 7 pitches. Didn't really make a ton of sense to me. You mentioned Pagan struggling in the 9th, but at the end of the day, he buckled down when he needed to and struck out 3 batters in a row with bases loaded to keep the shutout intact. But Brent Suter was coming off basically 6 days of rest. He hasn't pitched since September 4th. So I was a little surprised that the Reds didn't keep him in the game for that 9th. But look, I mean, I think as a whole, and you touched on it, but I don't know where this Reds team is today if it wasn't for this bullpen. Even before the starting rotation was as banged up as they are today, the bullpen really kind of held this team together and was a strength of this team for a long time. So for them to kind of earn their stripes, sort of say, and get the credit that has been due to them all season long here down the stretch, basically because they've had to fill in as starters and they've had to fill in as long relievers and they've had to fill in closers. They've had to fill in every different role. And you've seen guys have to step into every single role, whether it be an opener or a closer or a setup or a high leverage or a long man. Right. So I think the biggest strength that I've seen out of them has been the versatility and their ability to step into any role asked of them. And obviously, again, Nick Martinez isn't in the bullpen anymore, but that's a guy that you signed to be versatile, and he's done exactly that and had a tremendous outing yesterday, and just continues to be a strength. So it's great to see going into 2025.
Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about the Game Time app, of course. Reds, they only have one homestand left, September 17th through 22nd. So you want to be sure to use the Game Time app for that. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time on thousands of tickets. They have all kinds of great deals, obviously. Looking ahead at the Bengals coming up. Plenty of tickets on the Game Time app. Commanders coming up. Ravens on 10-6. Really makes it easy to find using that. So as always, be sure to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CINCY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem the code CINCY, CINCY for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game time. And then as always, we want to remind you that you can call or text 988 for free and confidential support 24/7. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is always available for you. So if you ever need it, be sure to remember 988 anytime at all. And you can also visit mantherapy.org. All right, the Reds offense, Craig. Not a whole lot tonight. I don't know. It was such a weird game with Larry Vanover's strike zone that was different for every single hitter. So I don't know how much you make of it.
Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, I think we saw David Bell kind of defend Elly for the first time really this year. I don't recall that happening at any other point this year. Elly's been a guy who's quite frankly been a victim of the umpires a number of times. I think he leads the league in balls called strikes. And, again, tonight, that's a situation where I was a little surprised because the Reds are leading 3-0. Elly typically is pretty mild-mannered, even when he does talk to the umpires about disagreements. David Bell came out pretty quickly and defended Elly in that situation, and I like to see it. I mean, look, I think David Bell is probably feeling a little bit of pressure just like everybody else on this team. And, I like to see it. Now, I'm going to say this, and we don't need to argue about it or anything, but David Bell's arguments look like the most thought out, purposeful thing that I've ever seen. He doesn't actually ever appear to be arguing in the moment. He's thinking about his next move and his jerky movements and everything. I don't know. It just feels fake every time he argues.
unless it's a player that gets hit by a pitch.
That's right.
That's when he
Or if
goes
he's
into
he's
his
charging
Papa
against
Bell.
Clint Hurdle.
Yeah.
Clint Hurdle.
Well, ever since Clint Hurdle left the league, he kind of has softened down. David Bell might have been the reason Clint Hurdle is no longer a manager, and I think America owes David Bell a debt of gratitude for that.
Yeah, look, when we're talking about the offense, here's the thing, right? Is that this Reds team is coming into tonight was 0-5 against Andre Pallante. Andre Pallante coming into tonight was 5-0 with a 1.31 ERA over 14 games, 4 starts against the Reds. This was his 3rd start of the season. The Reds hadn't scored a run against him in 11 1/3 innings over those 2 starts. So, this is a guy who has had the Reds number a little bit. So for me personally, the fact that they were able to get, 6 or 7 hits against him is a step forward. And I get that they weren't a ton of hard hit balls. I get that, they didn't put a ton of runs on the board, but they threatened multiple times, it felt like. And it felt like they had runners in scoring position multiple times. That's something that the Reds are going to have to figure out going into 2025 is runners in scoring position, because yet again tonight they were less than stellar. But I'm not going to read too much into the offense. I don't necessarily have anything hard hitting either way on that. But, when you're going against a guy who you hadn't scored against in 11 1/3, I'll take 3 runs.
Nice to see a lot of walks tonight. I mean, they did draw 6 walks, 4 just from India and Elly alone. So that's good to see. I mean, it's good to, see some patient at bats. Bryce, Santiago Espinal, another 2 hits.
Just a player, man. Just an unreal player. But one guy I think is kind of flying under the radar a little bit, bouncing back well towards the end of the year, is Jake Fraley. He hit another ball really hard tonight. It hit a double and walked. I think since off the IL, he's up to like a 144 WRC plus since then. So that's awesome to see. Obviously a really tough year overall for him in every form of you can think of. So super happy for him. I know it's weighed on him. He's a really, really good player, and somebody that I think can be relied on going into 2025. I know we want them to move away from a platoon a little bit, but I think he's a good enough hitter against right-handed pitching to have a guy as like a 4th outfielder who's going to play a lot. I think Spencer Steer may take a little bit of a step back next year on that team. So he's a guy that I think is going to be relied on and should be relied on. He's a really good player, really good hitter. So happy for Jake. Hope he can finish this season strong.
All right, Craig, the guy who was dialed into this game. What else do we need to talk about from it?
Let's see. What other notes do I have? I honestly think we touched on most of it. I mean, it wasn't really like a super in-depth game. There weren't a ton of things that we needed to talk a whole lot about. So I think I'm
71 and 75. I don't think this team can actually finish over 500, but just with where their pitching staff's at. But they're creeping up there.
Well, what is it? 6. I can't do that math really quick. 17 games, 16 games left.
10 and 10. Yeah, 10 and 6 gets you 81 and 81. It's getting more. It's still a long shot, but it is getting more and more possible. Every day. What are they?
Well,
9 and 2 in September right now.
Yeah.
7 and 2.
Well, look, you've 7 and 2, but you've got 2 games still with the Cardinals in St. Louis. Then you go to Minnesota for 3. Then you've got the Braves for 3, the Pirates for 3, the Guardians for 2, and the Cubs for 3 to end it. So I don't know. Do you find 10 wins in there, Nick?
Yeah, I don't. It's hard. I mean, like the Twins and the Braves, and the Guardians to a lesser extent. I think those teams really need those games, but in some ways, the Reds are almost like that team. If you're like a contender, you don't really want to play. Like the Reds kind of feel like that team that's bit the Reds in 2021 and 2023 down the stretch. Like they're good enough that on any given night they can win. So I don't know. We'll see. It's kind of wild that they put them in the spot. I mean, it would be something if the Reds did get to 500. I know it's not going to change most people's minds, but I mean that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 out of no, that would be a 4 out of 5 years above at 500 or better, which this franchise hasn't done since the 80s.
Here we go. Here we go. Nick.
It's a fact. It's a fact.
It's a fact. It's a fact. You're right. You're right. What was the Vegas line before the season? 74.5.
No, it was 70. No, the Fangraphs was 79. I think Vegas had the Reds to be like 82.
Oh, okay.
Vegas might end up right on. Vegas is undefeated, man.
Unreal. Unreal. Oh man. Well, we did get another super chat, Nick. If you want to read that one.
We did. We can get to that. Michael Rolfe, believe it or not, on the super chat from Michael Rolfe. Didn't see Rhett coming. Three reasons I saw it. Paul Skeens copied his mustache. Good point. You cannot pitch in the majors with hair. Thor and fail. His name is Rhett. Equals good at outdoor summer sports, racing cars, fishing, and baseball. Is there a lot of
country music?
Is there a lot of professional fishers named Rhett? I mean, I guess that tracks. I mean,
only guy I know named Rhett is the best guy I've ever seen with a bow in my life. So I guess that works out.
All right. So Rolf's onto something here. Rolf also asked a more important question, at least in my humble opinion. Where can we find your content, Bryce?
I got lots of content. It's on X, Bryce_Spalding. Sometimes I rant about the Bengals too, so I'm sorry, but mostly about the Reds, unless Joe Burrow is playing poorly, and I will rant about the Bengals. So yeah, Bryce_Spalding on X. You can check me out there, and I will be happy to engage any type of conversation.
We'll do full screen. There you go. Bottom left. There it is. Bryce_Spalding. I believe I tweeted your name today, right, on a tweet. So if you follow me for some godforsaken reason, you can find Bryce as well. And Bryce, I'm hoping to beg you to do some content this off season. So I don't know. We'll see if I can, if I have enough swag to convince you to do some stuff with us, because I do love talking Reds as always with Bryce Spalding. All right. We do have a couple other minor league games. Did Louisville go final here? Are these guys going to really blow an 11-1 lead? I mean, let's do who, what, and where, because in case they, so I can hopefully have the final in the podcast. They're up 11-10 in the bottom of the ninth. They were up 11-1. I mean, this team is unbelievable, man.
Five in the seventh and 4 in the eighth. Oof.
After you got 3 2/3 innings of 1-run ball from Connor Phillips.
Oh boy.
Oh no, Yasver. Oh no, Yasver.
Oh, Yasver.
Oh no. Oh, that line. Oh god.
Yasver and Ben Schroeder. Yikes.
I think it's Ben Schuster. Right? Do you know?
There's
Ben
no
Schuster?
S. There's no S, Nick.
Ben Schroeder.
Is it Ben Schroeder? I've been saying this poor guy's name wrong.
He's not the only one, Nick.
That is true. I feel like I looked it up somewhere. All right, we'll do it. The problem is, like I was saying, well, let's go look who, what, when, and where. But the Reds have good old TBA always listed. So
yep.
Here we go. TBD up against the old Lance Lynn dog. Lance Lynn, this is actually his first start since July 30th. He's been on the IL with right knee inflammation. Cardinals have a decision to make with Lynn. He has a $12 million option next year with a $1 million buyout. So they're going to have to kind of weigh that over the next couple of days. Honestly, kind of the Reds maybe be better for them just to get, Lance Lynn throwing no-hitter, so they'll pick up that option. I don't know. But nonetheless, Lynn these days relies on 6 pitches, a 4-seamer, cutter, sinker, curveball, changeup, and a sweeper. Fastball averages a modest 92 miles per hour. Lynn is 13-5 with a 3.05 ERA in 24 games against the Reds. This year, 0.75 ERA in 2 starts. Active Reds are 22 for 97 against Lynn. Amed Rosario is 7 for 27 with 2 doubles. Jonathan India is 3 for 8 with a homer. Jake Fraley, 4 for 11, with a double. Craig, any riveting thoughts on this matchup while I try to buy time to see if Alan Buznitz can pull off this save?
Lance Lynn career at Busch Stadium against the Reds, 9-1, 2.11 ERA in those 10 starts, making his 25th career appearance against Cincinnati. His 13 wins against Cincinnati, the most of Lance Lynn against any opponent. So that's an interesting one. 9-1. I mentioned it at Busch. His lone loss to the Reds at Busch Stadium came September 21st of 2014, Nick. 10 years ago.
What were you doing Bryce, what were you doing in 2014?
I was a junior in high school.
Oh boy. Don't make me feel old, man. Don't make me feel old.
Probably just dropping bombs on these kids in districts or something. Who knows?
Unreal.
Craig, what were you doing in 2014?
2014, I think I was depending on what time. September of 2014, I was in Green Bay. Working for UWGB. Go Phoenix.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see.
I
was
just graduated college. I think I finished my 8th year of college in 2014.
I think I was planning a wedding. I think I got married in 2015.
All right.
So
All right.
I was planning a wedding.
Let's go.
Nice.
Let's see if Facebook has any memories from this day in 2014.
Come on, Buznitz. Let's go, brother. All right. Chattanooga, they did go final. How about this? You ready for it, Craig?
I'm ready.
Austin Hendrick homered.
Oh, where's Trace? You didn't make it the deep drive of the game?
Well, we had the guy homer in a playoff game. I mean,
oh, well, he didn't playoff game. Yeah, okay.
I mean,
and Henny's was a bomb too.
I know.
It's Austin Hendrick.
You know,
where's Trace?
You know, Bryce.
Hey,
when you see how bad Rhett Lowder's numbers were at AA, it kind of makes you think maybe there's something in the water. And when the Reds promote Austin Hendrick, he's gonna take off, right?
I think they got to protect him. I mean, some of these teams are going to be chomping at the bit. Yeah. They're chomping at the bit to pick him up. I mean, he's 40-man eligible. So it's going to be a tough one. He's a tough decision there.
He's Rule 5 eligible. But anyways, Chattanooga, they won 5-0 over Rocket City. Hendrick hit his 10th bomb of the year. Dominic Patelli, 41 stolen bases between Daytona and Chattanooga. So shout out to Dominic Patelli. What a cool season from him. I don't really know. What do you think about, Bryce, real quick? What do you think about Dominic Patelli? He's kind of an interesting player to have. I don't know if he's a big leaguer, but he's certainly a really good depth piece in this organization right now.
Yeah, he reminds me of what's his name? The shortstop that they had a few years back, not Barrero. Oh man, I'm blanking. But he's like a guy that you feel good about in AAA. He's probably going to sit in AAA for a couple of years, and he'll probably get called up every once in a while and have a cool story here and there. But yeah, he can run. He plays great defense. He can run into a ball every once in a while. So yeah, no, for 11th, 12th round pick, a money saving pick, he's been exceeded all expectations, and it's really cool to see that he's made it to AA this year. Like you said, really feel good season. The organization that needed something like that to go their way. So yeah, very cool. I'm happy for him.
All right. So did go final. Louisville 11, Iowa 10. The Bats hang on after allowing 10 unanswered runs to end the game, or 9 unanswered runs to end the game. Run through the box score, then I'll ask a couple questions and we'll get out of here to Bryce. Connor Phillips, 3 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. Positive for him for sure. Yasmer Zulueta, 4 runs allowed, only got 1 out. Zach Maxwell pitched 2/3 of an inning, gave up a hit, struck out no one, didn't give up any runs. And Alan Buznitz, shout out to him, he got the save. Offensively, 16 hits for the Bats. Jacob Hurtubise, 3 for 5 tonight. Good to see from him. Edwin Rios is this guy, Babe Ruth. He hit 2 more home runs tonight. This guy's got 21 home runs on the year. He's got how many in September? he's got a lot in September. He has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 home runs in September. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 games. 8 home runs in 9 games in September. Like, what an unbelievable run for him. Davis Wenzel picked up 2 hits as well. Underrated player that I want to ask Bryce about. I'm going to ask 2 questions to Bryce. Avon Johnson, 2 for 4. He's had a really nice year for the Reds. So let's start with Connor Phillips, though, Bryce, because he seems to have, I don't want to go overboard, but he's definitely turned a corner in some regards. I mean, just he was so bad earlier in the year. For him to have several positive starts in a row, and obviously he still walked 4 batters in 3 2/3 innings, so he's certainly not out of the woods. But it's at least good to see him ending this year on somewhat of a positive note. You hope he can just reset this year and next year comes back and forget all about it.
Yeah, and I think you'll take the walks with Phillips at times. Like, he's never going to have George Kirby, Rhett Lowder type control where it's like this guy's walking 2%, 3% of hitters. Like, he's probably going to walk 10% to 12% of hitters for most of his career. And I think you're just going to have to live with it because this stuff is so good. And it's good to see that it's back to the level that we expected. I think I saw some stuff from TJ Stats, who's a great follow on X. He posted his kind of pitching summary, and he looks like you would expect him to, which is great. His fastball looks good. Slider, sweeper all look good. So, I think that's exactly the type of bounce back you were looking for, because the stuff was even down earlier in the year when he was just walking literally everybody. So he's back in the zone. He's striking people out. He's getting chases, getting whiffs. I think that's everything you were hoping to see kind of after this little hiatus he took. So, yeah, just bounce back next year. He's not going anywhere. He's 22 years old. You can't teach the stuff he has. So you're going to ride it out until, quote unquote, the wheels fall off. So we'll see what he can do, and hopefully he can provide a spark for the Reds next year.
All right, Avon Johnson, guys, had a really nice year. The batting average is never been high with him, but a 131 WRC plus at AA. AAA is going to be around probably 120 at the end of the day today. He's a guy that's Rule 5 eligible, former top 30 prospect that has dealt with a ton of injuries, just hasn't really developed, but having, I would say, the best year of his minor league career. I mean, he had a good year in 2021 before he kind of fell off the cliff. Rule 5 eligible. Is there any way that the Reds would protect him this year since he is at AAA already?
That's a tough one because he does have some pretty glaring flaws. He does swing and miss a lot, and he does chase quite a bit, and he's kind of positionless. He's can play everywhere, and it almost feels like a Spencer Steer type of play everywhere, to where it's like he can play everywhere, but can he really play everywhere? Is he more of like a DH type of guy? So, but yeah, no, I enjoy watching him hit. He's always got a good plan. He walks a lot. So he's kind of got that good feel. He doesn't hit for a ton of power. So he's kind of it's almost like a middling profile in a way of like, okay, he does walk a lot, but he does swing and miss a lot, but he doesn't have the power that you would expect from a guy that swings and misses like that. So, but he's intriguing. He's had a really good year. He's kind of supplanted himself as a potential call up if things happen next year or things like that. So I don't think they'll have to protect him, but I mean, if the A's or somebody wants to claim him, then I guess they can do that. But I don't expect that to happen, and I would expect he continues on in AAA next year, and maybe he potentially gets a shot there.
Yeah, maybe someone. I mean, the White Sox exist, so I don't know. Maybe a guy that was a former top 30 prospect that has made it to AAA. Maybe something's a flyer. I think you're probably right. I just think he's kind of worth acknowledging, just because I think he has had a really good year. And, shout out to him as a development. All right, Craig, any final thoughts, my friend?
Connor Phillips, since returning from Arizona, 4 appearances, 15 2/3 innings, only 4 runs. So he's lowered his ERA from 10.11 down to 8.42 on the season. My favorite stat line from the Louisville Bats game, Sam Benschoter, 2 1/3, 4 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, and the win.
Living good, my friend. Living good. Michael Rolfe asked one question, and we'll wrap it up with this. What are the stipulations for Rule 5 eligibility? Do you know it off the top of your head? Was it 5 years? 3
I think
years?
it's 4 years. 4 years. So Hendricks was 2020, and he's eligible this year. So it's 4 years after you were drafted or signed.
Yeah, but I think there's some weird quirks to it too, if I remember right. Like there's some
depends on when the player was signed. So if the player was signed at 18 or younger, then they have 5 seasons. If they're 19 or older, then they have 4.
There you go. So yeah, the Reds will have to make that decision right around the end of November, early December, somewhere around there. That will be when we get into the off season. That will be one of the biggest things we talk about right away. So that will be something we'll discuss at length, and I'll brush up on the rules a little bit more on that. But yeah, the Reds have a lot of Rule 5 players this year. I mean, they have a lot. And the Reds also have a lot of guys that are on the 40-man roster right now that might be playing their way off. I mean, could Rhys Hines, if he's not a guy you're keeping, I feel like, why are you not giving him any at-bats right now? Jacob Hurtubise, love Jacob Hurtubise, but he was put on the 40-man, hasn't really done much, but there's a lot of guys a lot of tough decisions there. So that'll be something, but we'll discuss that at absolute length to its fullest when the season ends. All right. Well, Bryce, appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we'll have some fun minor league baseball to keep going. Hopefully one of these teams can come back from their 1-0 hole. Appreciate you, Bryce. Craig, our Spencer Steer, appreciate you as always, my friend. Thanks everyone for watching. And we'll do it again tomorrow night.